All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday with my man Matt. Talking some hoops, March hoops, NBA hoops, and not March Madness. I definitely we were talking a little pre-show, some college hoops. Yeah, when I think of March, I'm definitely thinking of college basketball. Can't wait for some Survivor stuff for the tournament. Always fun, but NBA still kicking. 4 games tonight. A slate that, if you got up at 7 a.m. this morning, look at the slate, and then you look at it now, completely different, which, yeah, I'm excited for. I saw a comment in Discord. Not a great slate. Again, now it's completely different. 2 big spreads, 2 close spreads. And yeah, in the big spreads is kind of where you're going to see the chalk. So definitely excited to talk through this one with you, Matt. I feel like it's been a couple weeks. It feels like Mondays are these 3 gamers and we do shows for 4 games or more. So excited to talk with you. How you doing today?
Yeah, man, I'm good. We talked a little bit before. I feel like it's been months since we've gotten on here with the 3-game slates and the All-Star break, whatever it might be. I'm glad we're back on here tonight. As you mentioned, this slate is wildly different than what it was just a few hours ago. Ton of value to look at in any one lineup. I was talking to Rio about this the other night. Like in any one lineup, you're just not going to be able to play all the good plays. You never can on any slate, but tonight it's going to seem like, man, I need to get this guy, that guy in any one lineup, and it's just not going to be possible. So a lot of good plays tonight, and we'll have to do our best to shift through them.
Yeah, absolutely. Broad slate overview. Actually, I'll say hi to people first. Marquis, Philly fan, Jake, Money, Deacon. Great to see everybody. All we ask, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. Yeah, the broad slate overview, just sorting by ownership. Actually, no, let me sort by price first. Filters. I want to show players with my projection greater than 1. Get all those other ones out, and then you can go to hide, remove. There we go. That's a little Saber tutorial. If anyone wanted that, but what's going on? Ian, not Speedy, Ian, Bob, great to see you guys as well. But yeah, sorting, you mentioned a lot of value on this slate, and then when you sort by salary, there's 2 players above 10K, and one of them's Giannis, who's coming back from an injury, definitely will be limited and pretty much unplayable today. So Jokic is going to be very popular. You sort by ownership, the most popular on the slate, definitely hard to get away. And then, yeah, you see Kawhi, Sengun, KD, it's Jokic, I think you're starting your lineups with, and I think you're playing multiple value pieces, which you can get different down below. But yeah, my broad slate is you definitely get different down below where the second highest spend or whatever after Jokic. I think this ownership is probably even light in MME tournaments and definitely single entry like we talk about a lot. But yeah, what's your broad slate before we go game by game?
Yeah, it's basically the same as you. It's the value. To your point on Jokic, he's going to be 90+% in small field, higher dollar stuff just because – kind of to the point you alluded to, there are pivots in the value range because there's so many of them. There are no pivots in the Jokic range. So that in turn is also what makes it really hard to get away from him because it isn't like there's a couple good value plays. And if they get there, you're going to need Jokic. There are a bunch of good value plays. So it's likely at least some of them get there and only one true spend up option. So there are certainly ways it doesn't work out. There are a few good mid-tier plays tonight that I think you could potentially load up on. At the end of the day, we are playing an ownership game, but this is one of those slates where that 85-90% on Jokic in single entry, higher dollar stuff doesn't seem that far off to what the optimal is. Maybe a little bit highly over-owned, but he's just so much better than everyone on this slate, and we have so much value. To your original point, really hard to get away from.
Absolutely. Let me just check real quick. So yeah, we just got news. No John Collins. See if there's anything else that just came out. Nope, just no John Collins. So that's interesting. Again, we will talk about that game, the last of the slates. And for anyone watching, so I'm change ownership. Flagship MME is your big $15, $18, whatever it might be for the night. And again, I still think this is probably a little light on Jokic. You go up to high stakes single entry, like Matt's talking, I mean, 89%. And you do have this ability to change ownership based on fields with the SaberSim Ultimate package. There are multiple different packages here. I'll pull it up real quick. 4 games, got a little time, and then we will go game by game. But different levels for different packages. If you're only playing $100 a week or something like that, obviously I don't think you should spend $297 a month. But shippination.com, join the nation. You can get in as low as $9. Gets you SaberSim, allows you to build 150 teams, all of the sports above. And then 5 days for only $10 more. You get 4 extra days. You get Discord, a very big piece. You get SaberSim. Golf is going on right now. Big event this week. The players, I believe, NASCAR, MMA, UFC 326, NHL as well. So I think that's the best deal. You know you'll be with us for a while. Again, this is the different packages for SaberSim. 150 lineups with the core. Starter gets you SaberSim's projections ownership. As you can see, I usually take the average for Shipping Nation and SaberSim. Allows you to build 500 teams and contest flashbacks. See what the pros are doing, like Rio, like Matt himself. Can see their exact ownerships in contests. And the ultimate, like we're showing off, $249 a month annually, $321 a month, 5,000 lineups. You get custom sims, and those sims do go based on, like, again, that high dollar single entry. If you upload a contest that fits that mold, instead of taking the flagship MME ownership, which wouldn't be nearly as exact, it does take that high stakes one. So really powerful. A lot of the best players in the world, for sure, if they're playing a lot of money, are using SaberSim nowadays. That's all I got. Matt, anything before we go game by game?
Yeah, I want to hop in real quick. So to your point, like, it tailors to like what you're playing. So this kind of leads into like a broad slate, like DFS theory conversation, I think is kind of pertinent for this slate. And people like that stuff. And there's only 4 games. So if I were playing 150 here, I would just kind of let Saber do its thing with Jokic. Probably end up a little bit under because he's so highly owned. But what's your take on, like, you know, we just talked about how hard it is to get away from Jokic, but at the end of the day, it is an ownership game. So if you are pretty confident, like not even you personally, but like the proverbial you are confident that he's going to be like 90, 95%, 100% owned in smaller field stuff, like at what point do you just say, I'm not playing him?
96, 97, 90. Yeah. And even then,
you don't know either what he's going to come in at, right?
For sure. I mean, that's the beauty that we play, trying to predict what others are doing in the field. I mean, I'm more willing to fade him, I think, in the highest stakes stuff when he is 97 versus, like, even if he's 68% in the flagship, like, I can look at that as still almost under owned, and you can build better lineups than the people. I mean, just looking at our projection, SaberSim and Shipping Nation, the average 69, the next highest is 46. You're looking at a 23-point difference roughly from the next highest in Kawhi, and he might get a little bump with no John Collins, but you get the point. Like, it's so easy with the value in March DFS, late February. You always have value. You try and pick spends, and yeah, I mean, he might even play 3 quarters in this spot, but they're applied for 127, and nobody on Utah. I mean, pencil in a triple double. So yeah, I mean, if he was 99% owned, I'm like the one guy not playing him. Sure, I mean, just injury alone maybe can get you close. With the bad games, but 94%, I'm still probably playing them and hoping that 6% pays the rake.
I'm like totally with you. I think that's like exactly how to run it. And the problem is there's no way of knowing if he would be like the exact 99% you would want to not play him, because the line is so thin, right? Because, like, I don't want to be one of 15 people not playing him. But if I'm the only one not playing him, like, there's just so much leverage in any player on any DFS slate where I'm about it. But we just see eye to eye there. He is going to be like high enough owned where I think that conversation, like, is worth having, if nothing else, you know?
For sure. And yeah, we'll go through and like talk about Kawhi, Sengun, KD, Murray. If you fade him, what would you do? Daryl in here. You're welcome, Speedy. You absolutely deserve it. I don't know if you saw this, Matt. Again, we're taking a little longer to get in than usual, only 4 games, but Speedy, this is my guy, Ian. He's the one that shipped MMA 2 weeks ago with his one team. Yeah. He put in 3 times in the flagship, 1 in the 100. Solo ship, but then duped himself 3 times for a smooth 140 Gs or something wild. So that's my man, Ian.
Yeah. I heard you guys talking about that the other day. I saw that, the post. I heard you guys talking about it. I just didn't realize that was him. But, man, what a performance. That's legendary stuff right there. I mean, you don't see that too often. Like, that is legendary. I think about, like, the best wins I've seen in the past few months, year, whatever. It's that. And it's the guy who took down like both Millie makers in NFL, like late in the season or playoffs. I can't remember when it was, but both legendary.
Was that Peter Gibbons or something?
I think it was a random, honestly.
Oh, was it? I thought
Yeah.
Gibbons maybe did it back-to-back weeks or something crazy. But
Maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely impressive. Jake, we'll talk about when we get there. I think you're just wasting your time, though. Luis, our RC in here. All right, let's go first game of the night. A very big spread in this one. 14.5, the Rockets favorite over the Washington Wizards. 225.5 total in this one. On the Houston side, no Jabari Smith. On the Washington side, no Vukcevic, only him, and then Anthony Gill's questionable. So obviously they're without, like AD won't play for him. There's Trey and stuff. They actually got more name value on the Wizards than you'd expect. They just never going to suit up. But first game, we are seeing some ownership in this game, even with it being 14.5 point spread. Really curious to hear your take on this, like Washington, who's going to play in garbage time if they're down 25 or something.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like, do they even know who's going to play right now in garbage time?
Probably not.
Down 25. You know what I mean? So there are guys that are certainly in play here. If I'm multi-entering, I'm keeping a lot of these guys in my pool in like single entry 3 max type of stuff. I think that the Washington side looks less appealing than the Houston side. I think guys I'm looking at least right now, Jaden Hardy, 3,800. We know he's a guy that can get buckets when he's out there. How much he'll be out there, not sure. Again, I'm not even sure that they know right now. Washington's a really tough team to peg down right now with no Vukcevic, and obviously Sarr is, who knows when he'll play again. Like Will Riley projecting for good minutes, a lot of ownership depending on where you look. I'm fine with him. Like Phil's a weak small forward position, but I really don't want to overload myself on Washington here. Just a really tough matchup, and you're banking on the garbage time. Like a couple guys will get there because they'll probably be in the rotation and then play garbage time, but it's difficult to know who. So all in all, Washington is not a team I love here. Like Gill himself, if he's in, I'm just never paying 4,500 for him. He's not a good fantasy producer. He'll play big minutes because they just don't have anyone else, but he's priced where he should be or a little bit too expensive. So I don't think I like Washington as much as the field. The Houston side, a couple guys I think look really good. One guy in particular, Reed Shepherd, really hard to get away from him. Great spot, going to play a lot of minutes. He's been really good starting for Jabari. He looks like a foundation, building block type piece in all formats, getting a lot of ownership, but he should. Even with a bunch of like 3K, 4K value, he's way too cheap at 5,700 and looks like one of, if not the best play on the slate again, which he's been a bunch recently. So it's Reed Shepherd for me as the only priority from this game. The other Houston guys, Amen Thompson, KD, as you mentioned earlier, like if you are playing a non-Jokic build, Alpi, like Sengun here, it's tough to play these guys and play Jokic. And if you're worried about the Jokic blowout, how you not worried about the Sengun blowout here? So little bit tough to tell myself a story where I want Sengun like over Jokic. You can play them together, but then you're just limiting yourself everywhere else. So I don't think I want to spend up on Houston here. That said, Sengun just went nuclear a couple of nights ago or a few games ago when I did not play him. And he only played, like that was another blowout. So he can certainly get there. And if you're not playing Jokic, I think the Houston spend-ups look better. For me, it's Shepherd and then everyone else.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. The Houston side, the only other name I'd pretty much add is Tari Eason at 6.4K. Because again, if I'm playing 10 teams, I'm playing Jokic on all 10. It is hard to go Jokic, Sengun, use both center and util spot. I like other guys more. I'd rather play like Jamal Murray. I'd rather definitely play Kawhi. I just don't like then KD. I'm talking. I think they blow them out. I don't think they really get the fourth quarter run. And with Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, a pretty much fully healthy Houston team, I don't really want to bank on just one going completely nuclear. So it's Reed Shepherd for sure. And then Eason at 6'4". He's a solid per minute guy. If his shots are going in 5X, I would definitely take on this slate. And his ownership is relatively in check. So that's pretty much only two there. Washington side, definitely two, Will Riley and Jaden Hardy. Riley's played 34 and 35 minutes the past two games. Looks like he definitely can get some blowout run. Again, it's hard to predict, but I'm going to sign me up for like this 27.5 minutes that Sabres projecting. I think could be a little light. Hardy, I mean, he fills it up. Yeah, I always like playing him in Dallas when he had a shot. And then I think Koulibaly's fine at 5%. I mean, he's not going to get blowout run, but if he plays 25 minutes, he's going to chuck. He's 27, 28% usage as of late with the guys he's sharing the court with. So I think it'd be Riley, Hardy, Koulibaly. Riley, the only one getting a little ownership, but I do think people will rather go mainly to Riley, definitely going to get some, but I think like some Denver pieces, Hardaway, Strawther, Bruce Browns of the world are going to get more ownership. So these Washington values are somewhat of a pivot off of them.
I'm not sure about that. That'd be my only counterpoint. I think Riley himself is like
Riley for sure, but of Hardy and Koulibaly and anyone else outside of Hardy, you think you think any of those guys?
I thought you were just talking about Riley.
No, yeah, Riley's going to probably be the highest value on the slate next to Reed Shepherd. Two of the chalkiest like 5.7K, 5.1 mid-tier value. Like those are where people are going to go, but I mean, Gill's going to get some, maybe a little bit at center, but again, most people playing Gill already going to play Jokic. Just center eligibility will keep his ownership down a bit. I don't think Champagny, Hardy, Koulibaly.
No, you're right.
I think people go, yeah, good call.
None of these guys are going to get love besides Riley and then Hardy a little bit. And I'm more in on Hardy than Riley. I get the Riley points, and if you think he's under projected minutes wise, then that would be a reason to get on him. I know he's going to be owned. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like Riley, yeah. I mean, that's my biggest problem with him is that he's going to be owned where he should be in a really tough spot. And there are a bunch of other really good plays on this slate. So that's my hesitancy on him. That said, like if I'm playing 150 or multi-entering, it's not like I'm Xing him out or lowering his projection. I'm just not sure I want to play into Will Riley chalk and like smaller field, higher dollar stuff, Yeah, makes sense. Avery, I mean, if you're only playing a couple of teams, sure, but I would say 2 max probably. Like if you play Reed Shepherd and then you are playing Sengun to get different, if you're building a portfolio, I'd be fine with Eason, Shepherd. I think I'm in Thompson over Sengun or KD if picking, just because it's easiest to 7.9K is easier than 8.9 and 9.4 to play with Jokic. But no, I think max 1 would be too restrictive. All right, we'll keep it rolling. Next game on the slates. I mean, really good game. Real life. I'm excited for this one. Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. 2.5-point favorites are the Celtics. 215.5 total. Why I'm excited. Giannis wasn't going to play. Now he is playing, or wasn't expected to. Jaylen Brown earlier in the day, we thought he was playing. He is now out. Neemias Queta is also out. So pretty solid favorites were the Celtics. Now it is only 2.5, the second closest game environment on the slate, and not much ownership going. I say not much. I mean, I guess I don't know necessarily if I believe all of these numbers. Is Shireman really going to be 35% with Riley and with some of the Denver stuff? Maybe. I think I'm most curious to hear your take. Like Walsh, Hugo Gonzalez. Are these guys really going to be the number that they're showing? I believe the Ron Harper stuff, maybe. It still feels a little, even that feels high. I don't know. I'm really curious to hear your take on this. I think people are definitely going to go like the Vooches and the Pritchards, because it's easy to play with Jokic and then go value. But there's so much value on the slate. Not everyone can be 30% plus. No, you're right. And I think like kind of sorting through it to see what we think is just the best way to do it. And I'm not exactly sure how it's going to play out, but I do have an idea. And from playing enough, I trust my gut with this type of stuff. I think that starting off, Pritchard and White are going to be owned. Pritchard especially, he looks good here. He's been really, really productive, especially when Jaylen Brown is out. Derek White hasn't had like a great year, but just gets such a big boost, and it is just a really good spot. This game now more competitive with Giannis and Jaylen Brown and Queta out. So those two guys I think are going to be owned. Ron Harper is going to be owned for sure because he's likely to start 3,200. He's been productive in this, role before. So I don't think he's like some guarantee to smash, but I think he gets owned as one of, if not the highest owned value on the slate. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah. No, you said it. 45% you think is pretty close. At least. Okay. Yeah. I mean, man, that'd be my least favorite of all we've talked about so far. I don't disagree with you, man. Like, I don't want to play Will. Yeah. No, I'm with you. Go ahead. Sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. No, man, like I would almost consider like once you go Jokic, Riley, Shepherd, Harper or something, like you're playing the same build as everyone. Yeah.
it is a little restrictive to maybe max 3 or just make sure you don't get all 4, but I'd consider it for sure. And I think Sims kind of would see it's very similar. And if you are doing that, like, you really better get different at your other spots. But again, Jokic is my priority. I'll fade any of the value. The best value, whatever, like whoever you're most confident in, I'd rather fade him than Jokic when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. And I think that because of how owned some of these players, are going to get tonight and have been getting, like the other night, I had a really good night in the 7-7-7. It was because of the Najee Marshall fade. Like Rio, we had talked about it and he kind of talked me into it. I mean, Najee Marshall played 40 minutes the night before back to back and he was 85% owned. Like, wow. Those are spots where just getting different. We talked about it earlier with Jokic. Jokic is like a different beast. He's just his own entity. But when you got guys like Najee Marshall, Ron Harper approaching 60, 70%, like a lot of times they're going to do really well because they're owned for a reason, but not as often as they're owned. So I think it just, again, goes into the original point I made at the beginning of the show. It's an ownership game at the end of the day. It's hard to see it that way when we're like talking about each player, but it's a numbers game. So with that being said, I do think Harper is really, really highly owned. I don't think Shireman gets that much ownership because he's not super cheap like Harper. He's 4,300 and his eligibility hurts him. Only shooting guard eligible. I just mentioned White and Pritchard. They're going to get love. Reed Shepherd is going to be like an auto lock in most lineups. So it's a lot harder to get to Shireman. So I think his ownership falls. Harper's rises. Hugo Gonzalez and Walsh, I don't really see them getting love. I think they're just on the outskirts. They'll be pivots off of Harper and Shireman, but I don't think they're going to have a huge role on this slate personally. Vooch and Garza, Vooch especially, going to be really, really highly owned. I've already seen it mentioned in chat once, like just play Vooch and Jokic at center. I mean, Vooch is too cheap tonight for Kata being out, 6,200 in a really good spot. Milwaukee, again, I think this game is competitive now, so he looks good. Luka Garza is always a guy I'm interested in when he's going to play more minutes. Could certainly see it tonight at 3,300, and I don't think he gets a lot of ownership, so he's a way to get different. Like, he's kind of a double pivot, honestly. The more I talk about it, the more I like it. A double pivot in the sense that pivot off of Vooch and also a pivot off of like Ron Harper and the other cheap Boston value because he's the same price or 100 more than Harper. So that's really interesting to me.
Another name I'll throw out. So again, I like Pritchard and Derek White. One of them feels really strong to have in multiple lineups. It makes a lot of work. Sam Hauser, though, I think a mid or lower tier. I mean, we're talking homecomings. He's a Wisconsin kid up in Stevens Point. It's hours and hours away, but he'll definitely have family and stuff in town. And no Jaylen Brown, like he's gonna chuck from deep. And if he does get hot, a very good shooter. I mean, he could shoot 9 threes in this game. If you get hot, any guy that's gonna shoot that much at low single or low teens is what we're showing right now. Makes a lot of sense. And when you play him, maybe you're not playing a Shireman or a Harper or someone more popular like that as a pivot. So yeah, I mean, is there any rules you would make or like a min 1 Boston or anything like that?
I would struggle to see here's my thing with a rule like that. I would struggle to see lineups that, on this 4-game slate that weren't giving me at least 1 Boston.
Yeah.
And if there
just for hand builders out there,
right. Yeah, no, but I'm even saying if I were running 150, like I don't even know if that's a rule I'd set personally. And again, I'm not the best at this because I don't usually max 150, but like I would presume that almost all, if not all of the lineups would give you a Celtics. And if a couple didn't, like, okay, I'd run with it. You know what I mean? Like if that's how Saber felt, that's how Saber felt. When I'm playing 150, don't make as many rules as other people do. You obviously have to tailor it to how you play. But I don't think that's one I'd make. I think that again, usually maybe you'd be wanting to limit your White and Pritchard exposure. But the problem is this slate just lacks spend up options. There's only 4 games. They're in a really good spot. I'm not sure the exact rules I'd set right now.
Yeah, if I'm not playing Jokic, I would be fine playing Derek White and Pritchard together. And on a 4-game slate, I don't usually play for OTs and stuff, but I mean, on a slate like this with 2 really big spreads, one's 2.5, one's 1.5, there is some merit to try and play more people in a game with a 1.5, 2.5 points. You get 5 extra minutes in overtime. I mean, that goes a long way on smaller slates. Vooch would be my least favorite of the spends. I do like Pritchard and White more. And again, a lot of it comes back to the center position. When you're playing Jokic and you go right to Vooch, a lot of people will do that combo, and you're already using a util spot, so it limits you a little bit. On the Milwaukee side, man, it looks tough. KPJ has been playing phenomenal basketball, but he's 8,700, and now Giannis is back. So these guys are priced like Giannis is not playing, even though Giannis won't play his full minutes by any means. 23 and a half roughly Saber has. That's enough to really put a whole ding in this team. So, yeah, I'm excited for real life. Cam Thomas, his first game with Giannis. They've been playing a little better, but nothing for me in DFS. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to get to these guys just because Giannis is back and they're already super expensive. I guess the point would be, though, like, they're so low owned. It's like the reverse of the Jokic. Like,
yeah,
like, it's one game. Like, what if you get that OT spot? Like, what if Denver just wins by 70 and he doesn't play a lot of the second half? Like, again, I'm playing Jokic, but there are stories and ways you can tell yourself of this slate playing out where, like, KPJ puts up 50 fantasy points and is needed to win tournaments. So, yeah, long-winded way of saying I'm not playing them, but they have a tournament appeal because they're so low owned. Like, I'm seeing under 1% on a lot of these guys, depending on where you look.
No, and they will be. I definitely believe that ownership. Maybe like a Cam Thomas, 4,200. Just hope he, like, man, when KPJ or Rollins goes bad, like they're 7-7 and 8-7. You're just stone dead. Same thing with Giannis. At least like a Cam Thomas, a Miles Turner, maybe Kuzma. But I mean, yeah, it's really thin. I don't love it. King says, first of all, only one Boston. I was saying maybe min one Boston. Definitely wouldn't max one Boston. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Not new to DFS, but curious to see how customizable Saber is. Usually only play a single entry. I mean, Saber, you can do anything. You can change projection to like 45. You can change the ownership to whatever. You can see how many, like, I for sure want at least 3 Boston. You can go to min exposure and go 30%. Like, you can do so much. You can make rules, game stack games, stacks. Yeah, it's pretty much anything you want. You can tailor it, narrow it down to very, very specific stuff. All right, we'll keep it rolling. Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz. And again, just looking at the times, all 4 games are at different times, 7 Eastern, 7:30, 9, and 10 Eastern. 11.5-point favorites are the Nuggets, 242.5 total, by far the biggest on the slate. Again, you can also see that in the team total for the Nuggets. On the Nuggets side, for injuries, Cam Johnson is doubtful and Spencer Jones is questionable. On the Utah side, no Kevin Love, and then still no Laurie, no Nurkic. They're beat up. No Vince Williams, unfortunate injury. But yeah, Utah's thin. I mean, just sorting by ownership, though. Denver. Most definitely will be owned. We spent a lot of time on Jokic. Can you play Jokic and Murray? That's the question I'll throw to you and then break down this one.
I think it's a good question. Like, again, if I'm playing 150 on Saber, I'm not saying I only, like, any lineups that they give me with both, I'm cool with. If I'm playing one lineup or 3 entry max stuff, it's going to be tough to play both of them because you're foregoing a lot of other good players on the board to do that and don't really expect this game to be close. That said, like, Utah could hang around enough where they play enough and they could both get there. Sure. A couple of the other games could not be great. Like, just talking this out, I'm not starting my lineups with Murray and Jokic, but I don't think I have a huge problem with playing them together. I do think that if I'm not playing Jokic for any reason, like, Murray is a lock for me because that's one of the only ways I see Jokic not, like, nuking is Murray just kind of nuking himself, which is totally plausible. 8,800. He's been really good. I'm a huge Murray fan in general. Just love his game. So I'm always down with playing some Jamal. Jokic is obviously the prize of this slate. Just really, really hard to get away from, as we've talked about. Those 2 guys look amazing here. I don't trust Utah to stay in this game, but, they should smash when they're on the floor anyways. So I like both them a lot. I like other pieces from Denver too. Strother, you mentioned earlier. I think he's got a role on this slate. Bruce Brown for sure. THJ, Tim Hardaway, wildly in play. And then I think my favorite value piece here is Jalen Pickett, who I think is going to be in the rotation for sure, regardless, because of the guys they're missing. And then I think he's going to play all the blowout runs. So Pickett is a guy that I'm wildly intrigued with here. I don't think he gets nearly the same love as a bunch of the value we talked about earlier. I think his ceiling is probably higher than a lot of those guys. So I'm in on Pickett. I'm in on Jokic, obviously. I like Jamal a lot. He's not going to be crazy highly owned because of his tag and how highly owned Jokic will be, but I like him here. And then the other Denver guys I like Denver is going to get there. It's just a matter of how long they're on the court.
For someone asked earlier, I think it was our man Drew, if not playing Jokic, would you play Joval and just hope maybe the game does blow out and Joval is like Jokic's minutes instead of him playing 35, which is projected. He plays 27, and then is Joval just the biggest beneficiary there, or is because it's getting blown out, you're going to see like a Zeke Najee or something? So what are your thoughts on Joval and just if Jokic does only play 27 minutes because of a blowout?
Yeah, you do risk the point. If Jokic is only playing 27 minutes, the blowout is probably so egregious that J-Val might lose run too, because he's old and they're not going to play him in like a 40-point game for a lot of the fourth quarter. So I think it's a tough question to answer because of what I just said. Like J-Val is not guaranteed to get all the blowout run, but the counterpoint to that would be it's only 4 games and center is really weak on this slate. So J-Val 3,500, I think certainly in play, but I wouldn't be setting a rule like if I don't have Jokic, I need Valanciunas. The rule for me would be if I don't have Jokic, I need Murray.
That makes sense. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. If I'm not playing Jokic, I'm definitely playing Murray. King R said, does SaberSim have prop projection stuff? So on the ultimate package, which is the highest, it does have, as you can see, like this is SaberSim's what they're projecting for minutes, how many points they're projecting them. Average projected points scored in the game. So no, actually, this is I thought I'd have to ask SaberSim this question. Actually, I never at the end of the day thought of it like that. If it's historical numbers, I mean, Jamal is Jokic averaging 31.98. I guess I can just look it up right there. Kola Jokic points per game average. No, 28.7 to 28.8 is what it's saying. So if that's right, which I think it is, then that is projecting for tonight's game 31.5. Let me look real quick at DraftKings Sportsbook to see if that's in the ballpark. I guess I should have asked that. I've never, at the end of the day, again, a lot of it's because that's all baked into the projection. I know you're trying to use it to sports bet, which is why I'm trying to get you an answer this question. 28.5 is his line on the sportsbook. So I don't know. I'll have to ask that, but it is the ultimate package. Do you have any thoughts on that, Matt? If this number, like points per game, rebounds, is being projected for the night or just for the average of the year?
I would suspect it's like for the night.
Because he's not actually averaging that for the year. So I'd assume that as well.
And like his fantasy projection is based on that stuff, and they're giving a fantasy projection based on tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, so I think that is what it's saying. Obviously, fantasy points per minute is historical, but yeah, on the ultimate package, you can use that to help.
Couple of things in chat I just wanted to comment on. Big Money Roca says no, Nuggets always let bad teams hang around. He's not wrong. Like they do a lot more before this year. Like their bench was presumably better, but they're missing guys tonight. Like they could easily let the Jazz hang around here. One other thing I wanted would I max one of
that feels like, at their prices, I'm not sure I would do that necessarily. Hardaway's coming off a big game.
I guess I wouldn't, because I trust Saber in a lot of that stuff if I'm playing 150. And if they think that those guys paired together is a good play at their price tags, like I'm not going to fight that. And again, it's not one of those things where I would suspect half my lineups have both those guys. You
can just click on it too. Sorry to interrupt. Click on Hardaway and it shows the positive or negative correlation with everyone. They only have a negative 0.03, which would definitely lead me to not be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just such a small slate. They're both in a good spot. They're missing bodies, so those guys could, have more usage, etc. Just they're in a really good spot here. So definitely hard to get away from Denver. I like Denver, like all these Denver guys, more than I like someone like Will Riley, who I think is higher owned than all these guys. So Yeah, man, I'm not going to like fade the first game or anything, and I'm certainly not going to fade the Boston-Milwaukee game, but I do think that getting more exposure to the last two games certainly is in play on this slate. And another kind of broad slate overview I didn't mention at the beginning, but it's kind of pertinent as we're talking it out. This is like a clear slate where some teams are getting a lot of love and other teams are getting zero, namely Milwaukee and Utah. And
Yep.
I feel like there have been a bunch of slates recently where like these teams that are getting no love, like zero love, have been tournament winners, not the entire team, but players from those teams because they're so low owned, and DFS is an ownership game going back to that point. So just an interesting perspective. I think that if I were playing 150 here, I would have no problem getting a little bit over the field on the Milwaukee and Utah guys, because I think that, again, if they're going to be 1 to under 1% owned, I'm in.
Utah guys, we haven't talked them. Like Ace Bailey is definitely someone I'm fine playing at 6.2K, 26 minutes like Sabres projecting. I mean, he can easily get you high 30s. Usage is very high. If this game does stay somewhat close and you are playing a lot of Denver stuff, I think Ace Bailey is a good reason or has a lot to do with it. Filipkowski's price tag's big. At least he's power forward eligibility. Sensible, I think, is another one, which would be a little interesting. Which guys stand out to you for Utah if you're playing them?
Yeah, it would be Ace for sure. Who would be the one guy that, I could get on board with here. Like, not a priority, but to your point, like Fitz, if you're playing a bunch of Denver guys that this game is at least semi-competitive, he's just going to be the guy for them at that tag. Like, the other guys that you want to play aren't playing enough, and they're too expensive. Keontae, Filipowski, obviously my boy Collier, you just can't do it. So Ace for me. I want to be in on Sensabaugh, but too many questions about the minutes. Conchar didn't start last game with Keontae back. Like Blake Hinson at 3,500. I think that as like a pivot off of Ron Harper, I could get on board. Like, I don't love.
But you like Pickett. You like Pickett more than both.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's cheap, and he's not going to get – that's like your low-owned gem today, it sounds like. He's not really going to get much ownership, and he's definitely a pivot down low.
Yeah, and to that point, I don't need like 5 low-owned guys. One or 2 is suffice in NBA. That's all you need. That's all you want. So
for sure.
Yeah, Pickett is my guy here. Like, I guess Hinson I've just mentioned because we talked about Harper. I mean, Harper is going to be 50, 60% owned. Hinson's going to be 5-6% owned probably. So is Harper 10, 12 times more likely to outscore Hinson? I don't think so.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. I mean, like you mentioned, the broad slate, I mean, teams are getting ownership and then teams aren't. The Bucks are not being played. Utah's hardly getting played. And really this last game, Clippers and Golden State, like outside of Kawhi, Clippers aren't getting played. Golden State maybe a little more, but not really. Ownership's going around the first game and the Nuggets. So do that, and Boston, too. But do that with that information as you will. Anything in that game? We'll take it to the last.
No, nothing else from the Utah game. And I guess the biggest difference between Milwaukee and Utah for me is like Keontae, Isaiah Collier, and Filipowski fit into the Milwaukee guys because all the Milwaukee guys are too expensive. But like, you start talking about like a Blake Henson, Ace isn't super pricey, still only 6,200. They've been hesitant to raise his tag. Like, at least Utah, like, they're affordable in spots. So that's why I'm more interested in them than Milwaukee, even if I don't really like them per se.
Oh, I agree. I mean, Milwaukee's my least favorite on the slate. It's really tough. They're priced like Giannis wasn't playing, and now he's playing. Obviously, that's a lot of usage, a lot of rebounding, a lot of stats that are now taken away from other guys. All right, last game of the night. Closest spread on the slate, but the lowest total. Clippers 1.5 point favorites over the Golden State Warriors. 215.5 total in this one. Injuries on the Clippers side. I'm not seeing anything. Nothing on the Clippers side. As far as Golden State, no Porzingis, no Will Richard. Gary Payton is questionable. Again, I mean, like Kawhi, he looks strong. Like if I'm not playing Jokic, I'm probably playing Kawhi and Jamal Murray. Like that's probably where I'm going as pivots. And then I'm probably playing one of Peyton Pritchard and Derek White. And I mean, the more you say it, like I guess you can make a case for it a little bit. But like that, those are the clear ones. I like Kawhi, I like Jamal Murray much better than I like the Senguns, the KDs of the world.
I was gonna say I'm mostly with you, but I do think that I would throw Sengun and Kawhi. Like I like Kawhi more, but I think Sengun is like on the same level here, just because Garland's back for the Clippers, and like I do think that like he's a guy that eats into usage. He's really, really good offensively. So when he's on the floor, he's gonna have the ball in his hands, which is gonna mean Kawhi's not gonna have the ball in his hands. Might not matter. Again, this game could be really, really close, maybe a little bit higher scoring than expected, and you want Kawhi. But I just put Sengun kind of like to the point you were making. Like if I'm not playing Jokic, I'm playing Murray and one of those other guys. You sound like it's Murray and Kawhi for sure. For me, it's Murray and then probably Kawhi, but maybe Sengun.
Yeah, that makes sense. Garland might play, I don't know, like 20 minutes. I'm looking at points prop, 12 and a half points prop on this one. I think there is going to be a lot of minutes with Kawhi staggered. And I like 1.5 point spreads on a slate with 2 games that very well could blow out. Like getting upper 30s minutes possibly with Kawhi, mid 30s sounds good. I mentioned that earlier, but then I forgot to right here. John Collins is out. Happened like 5 minutes indoor show. But yeah, I mean, man, outside of Kawhi, this side's pretty tough to get to. Like, I guess Mathurin hurt. Like, the Garland stuff makes me like Mathurin less than I did originally because, like, he was the second guy, the second playmaker. Was definitely really good with his hands in the ball in his hands. But Garland, just his minutes, anytime they're shared the court, I think his usage takes one of the biggest hits. And like Derrick Jones Jr., Brook Lopez, Chris Dunn. I mean, there's just so many solid 5K and 4K options that I think are much better than these guys. I'd be more inclined to go to the Golden State side and play, I don't know, maybe Al Horford. Draymond Green's never a fun click, especially if he is 20%. Melton, maybe. But man, like this is why they're not getting ownership either. Guy Santos is 6,300. Moses Moody 6,300. Like these guys have real price tags. I guess maybe Pods at 7-1 if this game is competitive, even though it's low scoring. Pods can fill it up in multiple ways. But again, you're playing Pods. You're harder to play Derek White, harder to play Pritchard, which are clearly better plays on paper. But you got to make pivots somewhere. So I guess I'd be more willing to play like a Pods or something if I'm playing Kawhi. But yeah, I mean, this game's not really getting much ownership. Do you see pivots in this one?
Yeah, I do see pivots. I think that's the best way to put it. Like, again, to your point, I don't think that these guys look as good as some of the other plays on the slate, but this game is a really tight spread. I think the idea of playing, I don't want to like go 8 pieces from this game or 7 pieces from this game, but the thought of playing like Kawhi and then running it back with 3 Golden State guys is intriguing to me, if nothing else. So I don't like anything from the Clippers outside of Kawhi. Brook Lopez, I could see getting there, but just too fringy for me. From the Golden State side, though, it's the 3 guys you mentioned mostly, Melton, Pods, Guy Santos. The problem is, to your point, like if you're playing Melton and or Pods, like who are you not playing between Pritchard, White, Reed Shepherd, obviously? Like there are guard plays that just really stand out here. But I think with how condensed ownership is in NBA DFS right now, it's at least worth thinking about those pivots, because even in a contest like the 5-5-5 with 400 people tonight, like a lot of those lineups are going to come from Sims. So we kind of know where the ownership's going. We know those are the best plays, but maybe getting away from those guys is worth more than it was, even a couple years ago.
For sure. I mean, yeah, two years ago compared to like nowadays is pretty much a night and day game. I should have said like a couple months ago or last year. You know what I mean? It changes every day.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if like 90% of users, 85 like play or use SaberSim, and most of that in the ultimate stuff in that 555. I mean, people can throw in 20 teams, 30 teams or whatever, and people do that. Someone asked, is Kawhi even playing the back-to-back with relatively healthy? He only did play 29 minutes yesterday. Seeing 1.5 point favorites, I think kind of indicates that to me, but I don't know. I guess are the Clippers and Warriors, like this Warriors team right now, does the line tell you anything? I'm leaning Kawhi's in, but like if he's not, and you don't get that news until after the Denver stuff, dude. I mean, GG, like you're toast.
Well, that's kind of I didn't even mention that, but there's also leverage in playing a lot from the last game because of something like that. Like the unknown news that we probably won't get, but in NBA is at least possible. Like, especially with someone like Kawhi on a back-to-back. I fully expect Kawhi to play, but I'm wrong.
It would be the
sometimes
craziest
too.
thing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess I don't compare it to this. Like you asked me last night, I didn't think LeBron would play. He played. Now, a little bit of a different scenario because Kawhi isn't even on the injury report, but like, would anyone be shocked if Kawhi was just out tonight at 9 Eastern? How could you be? This is a guy that multiple times has been fully healthy, dominating, left games at like halftime and has missed the entire season after that. Like, so who knows with him? You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not playing for that, but doesn't hurt the case to be playing more from the Golden State Clippers game because all of a sudden if Kawhi's out, like Mathurin looks like an elite play.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Mathurin would be phenomenal. And then like a Derek Jones would be more in play. Chris Dunn would be more in play, even though Garland back definitely does bump Dunn down a little bit. I'd be more likely to play Brook Lopez. His usage would go up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, no Kawhi would definitely change the slate. But I'm not going to play like for that today. But if you have Kawhi and he gets ruled out, I mean, you just have nowhere to go. Like in this game, the next highest price guy is
you're dead. Yeah, that's what you were saying. You were saying the other side of it. Like if you play Kawhi, you're dead. I mean, if you play Kawhi and he's out, you're done.
Yeah, but again, I don't know. He's 28%. I still think he's a good play. All indications is that he will play.
I would not play him because of that. Like that is just a total. It seems more likely because it's Kawhi, but that could happen to literally any player in the NBA. So you can't play lineups based on that, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, especially because like, again, looking at the slate, Jokic is 12-5 in a great play. You're not playing Giannis. And then below that, like Jamal Murray is a little tougher with Jokic, KD and Sengun. We already poked the holes in. KPJ with Giannis back seemed pretty much unplayable. So like you're already down to 8.2K. And it's 4-game slate. There's only so many guys. He is the second highest projected guy on the slate is Kawhi Leonard. So yeah, I mean, I think we covered it pretty well. We know ownership's going to go to Boston, is going to go to Denver, and by far the two chalkiest spots there. Some is then going to go to the Houston, Washington stuff. No one's going to play Milwaukee. People are going to go Kawhi, and then pretty much nothing else in that Golden State Clippers game for the most part. I would just definitely, like, last thing, just be really cautious when it comes to ownership. When I'm playing Jokic, and my next guy is Will Riley, and my next guy is Peyton Pritchard or whatever it may be, and then Ron Harper, like, man, you're just going to the same build as everyone else. So I would definitely be cognizant on what you're doing when you're plugging in some of the highest zone, like you always should, but a lot more when it's 4 games and then 4 games and then a couple teams aren't getting ownership. So it's even like a 3-game slate almost, it feels like. So, yeah, what are your final thoughts?
So here's how I kind of look at that. Like the ownership, like the guys that are getting the most ownership are the best plays. But with how condensed ownership is these days, like the plays that like aren't that far off, the best plays, like the good plays just aren't getting enough love because the best plays are getting so much love. So that kind of goes to your point at the beginning. Like it's much easier to pivot off the value than it is Jokic because there's only one Jokic. There aren't spend ups, but like the value's fringy. It's just getting condensed and concentrated because those guys are projecting the best. I think there's a lot of power in getting different in at least a couple spots. Like to your point, you don't need to get off the reservation to get different in NBA DFS. You just have to be conscious of playing like all the most popular guys because you're just, it's too thin of a line to win tournaments like that. Like you can get really lucky, but when you're playing a 2-for-2, it's usually not going to work out for your favor. Guys, you know, the slate doesn't often work out where like all the top 8 plays are the guys you need. Like it often is different, and that's why it's a fun game.
Yeah, I mean, DFS is a phenomenal game. It's only getting harder as the years go by, but yeah, compared to like sports betting or anything like that, I just love all the moving pieces, and especially NBA DFS. There's 4 different start times again today. Late swap is very important. And again, we do have our projections updated throughout the night for Showdown. If you can only play the last game of the night today, you can't be around for all 4 locks. No one in the business does better. I don't even know if there is NBA Showdown content out there. I don't believe there is, but Little Neck does a phenomenal job, very knowledgeable in multiple sports. You can also find him in the Discord and pick his brain. Rio has a slate playing up, breaking down upper tier, mid tier, lower tier plays. Very good breakdowns with all of them. So you can see his thoughts in the Discord as well. DVP rankings, last 2 weeks and for the full season. You can see which teams get beat up at which positions the most. The Stone, of course, has all the information. Matt, Ham, Rio on the core report, myself on the cash report. You can find all of our content for the NBA at chipination.com. Join the nation. And again, $9 for the day, $5 for $19. Get you SaberSim, get you Discord. If you do just want the NBA package, you can see $29 a month, an absolute great deal. If you want SaberSim, you can add that on as well. Great stuff as always, Matt. Great to see everyone in here. Jason Turner in here, Shy Baby, Marquis, Neighbors, Doug. Appreciate everyone coming in as well. Like button on the way out, subscribe button. I will be back tomorrow talking some hoops with Rio. For Matt, I'm Title. Be safe. Good luck. Peace.